Erik Ten Hag eyes Manchester United duo in Bayer Leverkusen transfer raid. Erik Ten Hag is wasting no time in shaping his new squad at Bayer Leverkusen and has turned his attention to his former club Manchester United as he seeks reinforcements for the Bundesliga side. Recently appointed as head coach following Xabi Alonso's move to Real Madrid, Ten Hag is reportedly interested in a double swoop for United players Antony and Alejandro Garnacho, both of whom appear to have uncertain futures at Old Trafford. The Dutch manager returns to top-flight management after being dismissed by Manchester United in October following a poor start to the 2024-25 season. Despite the sour end to his time in Manchester, Ten Hag remains keen to recruit from his former club, capitalizing on United's willingness to offload players after their disastrous 15th-place finish in the Premier League and failure to qualify for European competition. According to German outlet Kicker, Leverkusen's board is discussing the possibility of bringing both Antony and Garnacho to the Bay Arena. The interest comes at a time when United are open to offers for nearly all of their squad, with new boss Ruben Amorim looking to revamp the team after a turbulent campaign. A deal for Brazilian winger Antony appears the more feasible of the two. The 24-year-old spent the second half of the season on loan at Real Betis, where he reportedly showed flashes of the form that earned him an £82 million move to Manchester United from Ajax under Ten Hag's reign. Now deemed surplus to requirements by Amorim, United are eager to cash in on a player who never fully met expectations at Old Trafford. Meanwhile, Garnacho's situation is more complex. Once seen as a bright young prospect, the Argentine winger has reportedly fallen out of favor under Amorim. Tensions rose after he reacted poorly to being left on the bench during the Europa League final defeat to Tottenham and was then excluded from the matchday squad against Aston Villa on the final day of the season. Although he joined United's postseason tour in Asia, his presence has done little to quash speculation surrounding his future. Napoli had previously seen a bid for Garnacho rejected in January and are believed to still be interested. However, Ten Hag's relationship with the player and his knowledge of Garnacho's potential may give Leverkusen an edge if they decide to pursue a deal. Amorim, when asked about Garnacho's involvement in the tour, dismissed concerns by stating that it was normal for squad members to travel, even if they are likely to leave. However, his attempt to suppress a laugh when teammate Ahmad was asked about Garnacho's future suggested the writing may be on the wall. Ahmad himself expressed hope that Garnacho would stay, saying, "Alejandro is a really good player, and we need good players in the team. I know Garna really well, so I hope to have Garna next season." As Ten Hag begins his Leverkusen tenure, a double raid on Old Trafford could mark the beginning of a busy summer, with Manchester United bracing for major changes and further departures. Sheikh Jassim rules out renewed Manchester United takeover bid after disastrous season. Sheikh Jassim bin Hamad Al Thani has officially given up on any future attempts to acquire Manchester United following a season described as one of the worst in the club's modern history. The Qatari banker, who previously led a £4.79 billion bid to buy the club through his 9-2 Foundation, is reportedly no longer interested in reviving his takeover plans after the team's dismal performance and the complications faced during negotiations with the Glazer family. Manchester United's 2024-25 campaign ended in catastrophe. Despite securing a narrow win over Aston Villa in their final match, the result did little to ease the frustration of supporters. The club finished a shocking 15th in the Premier League, a position unthinkable for a team of United's stature. Their failure extended to European competition as well, with a bitter defeat in the Europa League final at the hands of Tottenham Hotspur, confirming they would go without a trophy and miss out on European football altogether next season. Fan protests have continued to grow louder throughout the season. Around 1,000 supporters marched to Old Trafford before the final game, voicing their opposition to the Glazer ownership and calling for change. Inside the stadium, banners were unfurled and chants rang out against both the Glazers and Sir Jim Ratcliffe, who bought a 25% stake in the club earlier in the year. Sheikh Jassim's withdrawal from the takeover process last year came after claims that his consortium failed to provide sufficient proof of funds, despite making one of the highest bids for full ownership of the club. Since then, Ratcliffe and his company Ineos have stepped in, purchasing a minority stake valued at £1.25 billion. That deal effectively valued the club at £5 billion and gave Ratcliffe control over football operations. Although there had been reports as recently as December suggesting Sheikh Jassim remained interested in purchasing the club outright, sources now say that interest has completely cooled. According to the Daily Mail, the Qatari camp sees little to no possibility of a successful takeover, given the current ownership structure and the way negotiations were handled previously. Sheikh Jassim is still a United fan, a Qatari advisor was quoted as saying earlier. But there is no rush to pursue another Premier League club. If the chance to buy United arises again in the future, the interest might return, but not anytime soon. The focus now shifts to manager Ruben Amorim, who described the season as a disaster during his final post-match address. Despite his struggles, he retains the board's support for now, but the pressure to turn results around will be immense heading into the new season. With Ineos showing no signs of backing away from their long-term project at Old Trafford and Sheikh Jassim out of the picture, it appears that the Glazer-Ratcliffe alliance will continue to shape the future of Manchester United, much to the frustration of many fans still dreaming of full ownership change. Bruno Fernandes responds with class as Al Hilal transfer offer. Rejected. Manchester United captain Bruno Fernandes has once again demonstrated his professionalism and commitment to the club amidst growing transfer interest. The Portuguese midfielder, 30, remains a key figure for the Red Devils despite enduring a challenging season, with United finishing 15th in the Premier League and losing the Europa League final to Tottenham. Al Hilal, one of the Saudi Pro League's biggest clubs, reportedly tabled a lucrative offer worth around £100 million for Fernandes. The proposed deal would see the United captain earn a staggering £200 million over 3 years, equivalent to around £700,000 per week, tax-free. Despite the eye-watering salary and added bonuses, Manchester United rejected the approach. And Fernandes showed once more why he is admired not only for his talent, but also his leadership and integrity. This is not the first time Fernandes has handled transfer speculation with dignity. In 2019, while still at Sporting Lisbon, Fernandes was the subject of a major bid from Tottenham Hotspur, who had just reached the Champions League final under Mauricio Pochettino. Spurs offered €45 million up front, with an additional €20 million in performance-related bonuses. However, the deal was turned down by Sporting president Frederico Varandas, who felt the bonus conditions, winning the Premier League and Champions League, were unrealistic. Varandas recalled Fernandes's reaction as one of composure and understanding. "The day I turned down Tottenham's proposal, I came to the training ground and spoke to him," Varandas explained. "I told him why I declined the offer, and he understood perfectly. He also understood that the bid was not fair." Fernandes chose to stay and continued to lead Sporting with professionalism until he eventually joined Manchester United in January 2020 for €80 million. Now at United, Fernandes remains central to the team's plans, though uncertainty looms following another underwhelming season. In the aftermath of United's Europa League final loss, Fernandes addressed questions about his future candidly. "If the club thinks it's time to part ways because they want to do some cashing in or whatever, it is what it is. Football sometimes is like this," he said, "but I've always said I will be here until the club says it's time to go." United manager Ruben Amorim has made it clear he sees Fernandes as integral to the squad's rebuild. "He's really important for us and what we want to build," Amorim said. In different moments, Bruno takes responsibility. As United embark on a postseason tour of Malaysia, Fernandes remains at the heart of the squad. With interest from clubs like Al Hilal increasing, it's clear his reputation on and off the pitch continues to rise. However, unless the club makes a strategic decision to sell, Fernandes appears committed to fighting for success at Old Trafford, on his terms, and with the same sense of duty he's always shown. Manchester United set for busy summer as Matheus Cunha arrival nears and Garnacho faces exit. Manchester United are preparing for a crucial summer rebuild, following a dismal 2024-25 season that ended with the club finishing 15th in the Premier League. After 18 losses and a damaging Europa League final defeat to Tottenham, new manager Ruben Amorim is under pressure to reshape his underperforming squad and return United to their former stature. One of the first major moves is already underway, with Brazilian forward Matheus Cunha set to become Amorim's first signing. The club has reportedly agreed to meet the 25-year-old's £62.5 million release clause from Wolves. And Cunha is expected to sign a long-term deal that will keep him at Old Trafford until 2030, with the option for an additional year. His arrival is aimed at addressing United's severe scoring issues. Just 44 league goals this past season, the fifth lowest in the league. Cunha, who had an impressive individual campaign at Wolves, marked what appears to be his farewell with an emotional message to fans. "Wolves, what can I say to you? What an incredible season. We didn't get to where you deserve to be, but we did everything we could to make you proud," he wrote on Instagram. "Individually, it was the best season of my life. I became the Brazilian with the most goals in a Premier League season, along with Roberto Firmino and Gabriel Martinelli. All I ever wanted was to do the impossible for Wolves." Cunha is reportedly being offered the prestigious number 10 shirt at United, a number that currently belongs to Marcus Rashford. Rashford, who spent the latter part of the season on loan at Aston Villa, is among the players likely to depart this summer. Alongside him, Christian Eriksen, Johnny Evans, and Victor Lindelof will all leave as free agents, while Jadon Sancho and Alejandro Garnacho are also expected to exit. The future of Garnacho has become particularly uncertain in recent weeks. After being benched for the Europa League final and then left out of the squad entirely for the final league game against Villa, tensions between the Argentine winger and Amorim have come to light. Garnacho was visibly frustrated with his treatment, and his brother even publicly criticized Amorim for throwing him under the bus. Amid the growing unrest, Serie A champions Napoli have renewed their interest in Garnacho. After having a £40 million bid rejected in January, the Italian side is reportedly preparing for fresh negotiations with United. With Garnacho's stock slightly diminished following a tough end to the season, Napoli are hopeful of securing a deal closer to their original valuation, though United still value the young talent at around £70 million. As Amorim begins shaping his squad for the new campaign, more changes are expected. While Matheus Cunha's arrival brings optimism, United supporters will be watching closely to see how the club handles the departures of long-standing stars and whether Amorim can instill stability and a winning mentality at Old Trafford. Manchester United set to sell Garnacho and Mainu amid financial turmoil. Manchester United are facing a turbulent summer as the club battles a deepening financial crisis following a disappointing 2024-25 season. Two of the brightest young stars at Old Trafford, Kobbie Mainoo and Alejandro Garnacho, are now reportedly on the chopping block, with their sales being viewed as essential to help the club comply with the Premier League's Profit and Sustainability Rules, PSR. United's financial position has worsened after another trophyless campaign, culminating in a 1-0 defeat to Tottenham Hotspur in the Europa League final. That result denied them not only silverware, but also a much-needed financial boost from Champions League qualification. As a result, the club's hierarchy is now prioritizing high-value departures to offset losses and fund a squad rebuild. Among those reportedly certain to be sold are 20-year-old Garnacho and Mainoo, two academy graduates who have been standout figures in United's inconsistent season. Garnacho, who has caught the attention of Premier League rivals Chelsea, is believed to be open to a move away after expressing his displeasure at being benched for the Europa League final. The Argentine winger, who has been valued at £45 million, could be a significant asset for a club looking to inject pace and flair into their attack. Meanwhile, Kobbie Mainoo, the England international who has also come through United's youth ranks, is seen as a £55 million asset. Despite a stop-start season due to injuries and form, he remains one of the most promising midfield talents in Europe. As a homegrown player, his sale would count as pure profit under PSR guidelines, a factor making his departure even more appealing to club accountants. The potential sale of these two young stars reflects just how dire United's financial situation has become. The club is also expected to part ways with Juan Marcus Rashford, who has spent time on loan at Aston Villa, and Antony, currently on loan at Real Betis. Jadon Sancho is also nearing the exit door, with interest from Borussia Dortmund and Bayer Leverkusen, although Chelsea have reportedly agreed to pay £5 million, not to make his loan move permanent. Club captain Bruno Fernandes, one of the few senior players to maintain a consistent level of performance this season, has also been linked with a move away. However, the Portuguese midfielder reaffirmed his loyalty to the club, while acknowledging that football is unpredictable. "I've always said I'll stay until the club tells me otherwise," Fernandes said. "If the club thinks it's time to part ways to raise funds or move in a different direction, that's football. But my intention is always to fight for this club." As fans await clarity from new minority stakeholders Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos's long-term strategy, United's summer window is shaping up to be one of the most chaotic in recent history. One where the club may be forced to part with its most promising talent just to stay afloat. Bruno Fernandes, given deadline as $200 million Saudi Arabia transfer looms. Manchester United captain Bruno Fernandes is facing a critical decision about his future at Old Trafford, with Saudi Pro League giants Al Hilal offering a staggering £200 million package to lure him away. Reports suggest Fernandes has until next week to decide whether to accept the move or remain at United amid a summer of expected upheaval. Al Hilal have reportedly tabled a 3-year deal worth £700,000 per week for the Portuguese playmaker, with potential earnings reaching up to £65 million per year through add-ons. The club is also prepared to offer Manchester United a transfer fee of around £100 million for their star midfielder. This deal, if completed, would be one of the most lucrative in football history. Fernandes, 29, has been one of United's standout players since joining the club in January 2020. However, following the club's disappointing 1-0 defeat to Tottenham in the Europa League final, a result that saw them miss out on next season's Champions League, questions have arisen about his long-term future. The loss is expected to cost United approximately £100 million in potential revenue, adding financial pressure on the club, which has already been dealing with budget constraints under new part owner Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Fernandes addressed his future candidly after the final, stating, "If the club thinks it's time to part ways, because they want to do some cashing in or whatever, it is what it is. Football sometimes is like this." He added that he remains committed to the club, but would respect any decision made by United's management. "I've always said I will be here until the club says to me that it's time to go," Fernandes emphasized, underlining his loyalty but also openness to a potential exit. United's failure to qualify for the Champions League not only impacts finances, but also the club's ability to attract and retain top-tier talent. Fernandes' departure would represent a significant shift, especially as he is viewed by many as the team's leader on and off the pitch. "He is a leader, the captain. It is natural that people want Bruno, but we want to keep him. He is one of the top players of the world," a United source reportedly said. The club also faces a £10 million penalty payment to Adidas, a clause triggered by missing out on Europe's top competition. Combined with the absence of Champions League revenue and pressure to comply with financial fair play regulations, United may be tempted to cash in on Fernandes to fund a broader squad rebuild. As the summer transfer window approaches, Fernandes' situation will be closely watched. Whether he chooses the riches of Saudi Arabia or stays to help rebuild United remains to be seen. But the clock is ticking. One thing is certain: his decision will have major implications for Manchester United's immediate future. Liam Delap is set for a high-profile move this summer after Ipswich Town granted him permission to explore his options following their relegation from the Premier League. The 22-year-old striker, who joined the club from Manchester City last year, was one of the standout performers in Ipswich's return to the top flight, scoring 12 goals in 36 appearances. Despite his efforts, Ipswich were unable to avoid the drop back to the Championship, prompting speculation about Delap's future. Ipswich manager Kieran McKenna confirmed during a press conference that Delap has been given the green light to consider his next steps. "Liam's looking at his options for next year, which I think he is entitled to do, and we support him with that," McKenna said. "We have given him permission to do that this week. It's a very important decision for his future." Delap, an England under-21 international, is reportedly attracting strong interest from several Premier League clubs. Manchester United, Chelsea, and Newcastle are all said to be monitoring his situation closely. The striker has a £30 million relegation release clause in his contract, making him a feasible target for clubs looking to bolster their attacking options with a young, proven forward. There is a lot of interest, and rightly so, McKenna continued. I think there are very few clubs in the world who wouldn't want to have him. But nothing is sorted yet. Nothing is completed or even very close, so this process will take its course. Despite the club's relegation, Delap's commitment throughout the season has earned him praise from McKenna and the Ipswich supporters. He has given everything to the cause, the manager said. The supporters will remember his contributions fondly, and I'm sure everyone will be following his career with the best of wishes. McKenna emphasized that while Ipswich would be delighted if Delap were to stay, they understand and support his ambitions. If he moves on this summer, it will be a positive sign for the club to have developed and sold a player at that sort of level. In addition to Delap's potential departure, McKenna also confirmed that midfielder Massimo Luongo will be leaving the club at the end of his contract. Meanwhile, discussions are ongoing with defenders Cameron Burgess and Axel Tuanzebe regarding possible contract extensions as Ipswich begin to plan for life back in the Championship. Delap's potential exit represents both a loss and a success for Ipswich, a player who made a major impact during a difficult season, and a testament to the club's ability to develop talent ready for the highest level.